Oh! You're back. Yeah, the second part's not gonna be for a while, so, I don't know why you... Oh, right. Right, top 10 game of the year. Fuck. Okay. Just give me like 5 minutes, okay? Just give me like 5 minutes. Hey guys! What fucking games did I play this year? Can someone make an intro too? Oh god, I need sleep. Yoshi hasn't exactly changed his formula since the SNES, and honestly, he doesn't need to. Yoshi isn't exactly screaming for a gritty reboot all of a sudden. With its lighthearted soundtrack and level design, we've been playing the same game basically since Yoshi's story. Much like with Kirby, it's the charm and the ever-changing presentation that keeps you coming back. That being said, Crafted World is definitely full of charm and all that good stuff, set in a world that looks like my adventures with a cardboard box at 7 years old. It's more than just looking like a giant paper craft world, it's about how it works, with every fold, every crease, every piece of tape looking like a giant toy world. But, like most Yoshi games, it's all about the items, and while collecting all the trinkets can get frustrating, sometimes it just pays to lay back and listen to the happy melodies play. It wouldn't be an unboxed list without good old Metroidvania, and this is definitely one of the more intriguing ones I've played lately. While it looks like it belongs on a TI-84 calculator, that sort of style is really coming into vogue right now with games like Minute, Downwell, and other stuff published by Devolver Digital. GATO ROBOTO has you play as Kiki the Kitty, helping her commander owner after he gets trapped on his ship on a derelict planet, by means of an armored suit. So basically just think Metroid if Samus was a cat. On second thought, don't think about that. Utilizing the suit has the powers you'd expect, shoot, missiles, etc. But instead of a morph ball, Kiki can just get out of the suit and explore tight places. But be careful, as she is vulnerable in this state. About as vulnerable as a real cat in a situation like this. And while only lasting a few hours, it is a fairly humorous take on the Metroidvania concept. Yes, this is a compilation. Yes, these games are at least 25 years old, and yes, this compilation came out 2 years ago in Japan. But you people really need to understand just how big this is. Whether you call it Trials of Mana, Secret of Mana 2, or Seiken Densetsu 3, it was released back in Japan in 1995 and has only just now seen an official, full English translation. This is a seriously big deal. Including the original Secret of Mana and Final Fantasy Adventure, the collection contained all the best features of a modern compilation in borders and save states, which definitely come in handy during the beginning of Secret, cause my god that game can kick your ass. But most importantly, it says that when it comes to localizing a cult classic RPG into English, it is never too late. After Yooka-Laylee and My Number 9 completely bombed, this was the Kickstarter that everyone was focusing on, the one that had to work. And thankfully, Iga and his crew were able to pull it off. Designed as a rebirth of the classic Castlevania series, BLOODSTAINED had everything fans were looking for. A giant castle to explore and then some. A giant variety of weapons, magic shards, boss battles, and amazing characters. Anyone who was a fan of the Symphony of the Night style Castlevania will absolutely love this new incarnation. That being said, the game can be rough around the edges. Some bosses can be just plain cheap, especially the first one, being flung at you before you're even ready. Also, while I have nothing but praise for how the team worked with Unreal 4, I honestly feel the engine was kind of excessive. And besides offering a few visual benefits, it also highlighted some of the flaws more, like lighting and character movement. If they opted for a 2D engine like what WayForward used, it could have presented itself with a more old school flair. That being said, it's still a worthy addition to Igavania and deserves a look. Just avoid the Switch version for now. I think we need to clarify what constitutes as a mansion these days. But then again, calling it Luigi's Hotel might bring on some bad CDI memories. Luigi's Mansion 3 was a welcome return, and while there wasn't anything inherently wrong with the second one, the overall flow was kind of off, and felt more like a variety of levels rather than a giant sprawling building. And yes, while you can argue this game has levels of each floor, each one feels entirely different, with the game almost adopting a more Metroidvania style design, with upgradable weapons, backtracking to different floors, and puzzle solving with your new flubbery friend Luigi. One level could have you traversing the traps of an ancient pyramid, navigating several floors taken over by plants, or heck, even putting yourself into an action film. There's just something about Luigi's Mansion tiles that you just can't get in any other franchise. While Mario is happily bouncing around all over the place collecting God knows what, Luigi actually has a personality about himself. Sure, it's that of an absolute scaredy cat, but hey, it's the thought that counts. And here is why Bloodstained could have totally worked with 2D artwork. Being held by the crew behind Skullgirls, Indivisible is one of the better crowdfunded games to come out in the past few years. I covered its development at length on Kick-It, but it stands repeating just how much fun it was. Where it was the engaging characters, including Morbid Girl, Jackass Daddy Killer, Idiot Healer, and of course, Lesbian Mums, or the stellar voice cast attached. And while the combat actually becomes passé after a few hours, it was still a treat exploring every nook and cranny, finding all amounts of secrets. And unlike Bloodstained, I have nothing bad to say about the Switch version. Maybe because it hasn't been released yet. For the longest time, this was probably one of my favourite games of the year. Katana Zero takes plenty of inspiration from games like Celeste. Only if Madeline had a samurai sword, listened to Eddie's electropop, and had a crippling heroin addiction. Katana Zero has you play as a Walkman-wielding samurai, with the spectacular pixel art, gory animation, and creative combat. It wasn't something I was able to put down for long. Even when the one-hit kill difficulty, it brings out your creative side as you launch a meat cleaver into one man's head while slow-mo reflecting a bullet into another. Then we have a motorcycle sword battle down a highway and the game goes completely bananas. Hell, I even lost my mind playing this live.
No, not fucking doing that. Not again! Not again!
Katana Zero is a bigger psychedelic trip than you can even imagine, and it pains me that more aren't aware of this title. Give it a try, and enjoy the mindfuck. After Metroid Samus Return arrived on 3DS, it was clear this was the next old school handheld game that had to be remade. It was going to be a real task to bring the world of Colon to HD, but they managed to pull it off. From the animated cutscene at the beginning to the stop-motion figurine design of the world, every inch of the game has been filled with meticulous detail. Best part is the quality of life upgrades. While the original Game Boy version had you continuously going into the menu, switch to the feather, to the Pegasus boots, to the power bracelet, back to the feather again, the remake now applies these as passive upgrades, leaving you to better explore all the nooks and crannies of the game. Now, let's talk about the Oracle games. The internet can latch onto some truly bizarre stuff, and while I had at least heard of the game beforehand, I didn't take it much thought until I saw Twitter and Reddit just explode about this troublesome little goose. Made by just 4 guys working about a travel agency in the suburbs of Fitzroy, Melbourne, Goose Game lets you unleash all the chaos you want, whether it's dragging everything into the lake, down the well, or just being a genuine nuisance. It may just be a few hours long, but man is it some memorable ones, with some real espionage moments that would impress Solid Snake. All accompanied by a dynamic piano soundtrack that responds to your movements and surroundings. Since its launch earlier this year on PC and Switch, Goose Game has seen major success. Despite releasing the same day as Zelda, it managed to score the top position on the eShop charts. And now there are desires to get him in Smash. May God have mercy on Sakurai's soul. Before we get to number 1, here are some honorable mentions. Perception is reality, in the brand new take on the first-person puzzle game that seems to combine Stanley Parable with Portal. I remember seeing the original concept of this years ago as a GIF on the r/game board and thinking it was the most insanely awesome idea ever. The simple idea is wherever your position in the world is, the object is that size. Pick something big from a distance and it shows up tiny. Meanwhile, walk right up to that piece of fruit and oh dear God, it's gonna crush me! I was ecstatic to give this game a shot when it finally came out this year. But alas, it's one of those ideas that looks good on paper, but fails in execution. The whole narrative fell completely flat as it just repeated the same bits over and over again. Something about being stuck in a dream within a dream or something. And after reaching the end in less than 2 hours, I was intrigued but overall very disappointed. So, did you know 3D Realms still existed? I know, I was shocked too. But it seems despite the company's very public and turbulent downfall following Duke Nukem Forever, it seems 3D has been silently staggering along all this time. And it seems like they're looking for redemption, picking up where they left off all those years ago, utilizing all the engines DNF were gonna use, starting with the build engine. Playing as Shelly Bombshell Harrison, a member of the Global Defense Force, tied in with the Duke universe, you have what could have been a damn good Duke Forever had been released 20 years ago. The weapon choices, the map layout, Shelly's one-liners, which, while just being Duke with more estrogen, work so well as you're plowing everyone down with the shotgun. That being said, while this game is coming to consoles, including Switch, trust me on this, mouse and keyboard is the only way to go. Build just doesn't work with controllers. It doesn't allow those quick reflex action needed for these maps. And 3D Realms isn't stopping here. For their next title, they're working with the original Quake engine with a game called Wrath: Aeon of Ruin. And after playing it on early access, it definitely gives off those Quake vibes. Crypt of the Necrodancer is one of those games that everyone should at least try, if not for the gameplay, then at the very least to experience the soundtrack. The entire game revolves around keeping the beat and memorizing the patterns of all the creatures in this roguelike game. But imagine everyone's reaction when a sequel was announced, crossing over one of the most iconic series of all time. And you thought Hyrule Warriors was a shock. Giving the original title a try before Cadence of Hyrule came out, I found it intriguing, but my God, can't kick your ass! I found I couldn't even get past the second world. That said, while Cadence of Hyrule takes most of the original game's mechanics, it also kind of turned down the difficulty, with things like diamonds not disappearing after you start a new turn, or being able to transport to different areas, which lets you enjoy the music and detail all that much more. If you're a fan of old school Zelda and especially its soundtrack, you need to check this out. And now, over the last few years, the Battle Royale genre has taken the gaming world by storm. Whether it be PUBG, Fortnite, or Call of Duty Blackout, the concept of 99 players battling it out until one has become victorious has become an amazing thrill. But this year saw the release of one unlike never before. And no, I'm not kidding this year. When it was first revealed, I thought it was one of the greatest ideas I had ever heard. As someone who loved the fast-paced action of Battle Tetris, like in the crossover with Puyo Puyo, I couldn't put this down after I downloaded it. Hell, this game was what finally convinced me to end my boycott of Nintendo Switch Online. Because of how busy I was with schoolwork and other ventures throughout the year, there were just plenty of games I just didn't have time for, or not nearly enough time to really appreciate them. But Tetris 99 was something I could easily pick up and play for maybe 10 minutes, or hell, even an hour just to pass the time away. Waiting for a video to render? Tetris 99. Listening to a podcast? Tetris 99. Drunk at 2 AM? Oh, you know it! It may not be the most in-depth. It may not be the prettiest, and it damn sure wasn't made by Hideo Kojima. But it's the most fun I had all year. Tetris 99, the Unboxed 2019 Game of the Year. And with that, another year and another decade has come and gone. It's been over 10 years now since I started this show, and a lot truly has changed. I don't know what the future's gonna hold, but I do know I have some ideas I want to try. But first, I got some work to do. See you all next year.